Greetings, everyone, and thank you once again for stopping by the Infidel Guy Real Audio Show brought to you by freespeech.org. Well, everyone, I finally got someone on here that I've promised that I was going to do an interview with for some time now. And his name is Edwin Kagin, and he's a lawyer in Kentucky and a member of the Secular Student Alliance Advisory Board. He is a son of a Presbyterian minister and a Daughters of the American Revolution mother, and is married to Helen Kagin, a female Canadian and retired physician. Edwin is a former college English instructor, a U.S. Air Force veteran, an NRA certified handgun instructor, and an honorary black belt in Kempo Karate. He is vice president of the Free Inquiry Group of Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, and a published writer of poetry and prose that appears regularly in Free Inquiry Group Leaves and elsewhere as Kagin's column. Collections of his writings can be found on his website at www.edwinkagin.com, and he has a book coming out early next year. He is director of Camp Quest, the nation's first secular humanist residential summer camp. Edwin has run unsuccessfully as the candidate without a prayer for the Kentucky Supreme Court and for the Kentucky State Senate. He is also listed in Who's Who in Hell. Thank you very much for joining us, Edwin and Helen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good introduction.
You're quite welcome. And if the listeners would like to, once again, you can see that write-up also on the audio show page. And once again, if you have any questions that you wish to ask, you can go on ahead and ask those questions during the process of the show in the chat room, or you can instant message me on Yahoo Messenger. What is Camp Quest?
Camp Quest is the first residential camp in the history of the United States for children of secular humanists. That means, in a word for the religious fundamentalists you might have tuned in to harass you, for the children of families who do not believe in a supreme being or teach their children to believe in the supernatural. We have confirmed through the American Camping Association that this is the first residential camp of its kind in the history of the country. There have been day camps run by the Unitarians, Universalists, and others, and ethical humanist societies, but no residential camps. This is a 9-day, maybe 10-night, 9-day sleepover conducted the last week in July through rental facilities at the YMCA camp in Ohio. We started out with 20 campers in 1996, and this past year we had, I believe, 47. And my spouse, Helen, the retired Canadian physician, is here on the line. Can't register. She can confirm that.
That's confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yeah, that's the right numbers.
We've gone international. Last year we had a girl from two girls from England, actually. A year before that we had a girl from Curacao in the Netherlands Antilles, and we've had inquiries from a couple of campers in Japan this year. So we're looking forward to our biggest year yet. It just keeps expanding and growing, and hopefully this interview will help do that.
I hope so. That's why we're doing this. And how long again have you said you've been doing this? Or well, actually, even better.
In 96.
96. And how did this concept come about?
Well, the concept really came about. I'd been thinking about it for some time. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm outraged at the idea that the Boy Scouts will not let those dirty little believers within the ambit of their concept of morality. Lord Baden-Powell, the founder of the Boy Scouts, would be horrified. This religiosity was not a part of the original Boy Scouts, and I assure you there was none of it when I was in scouting. The scoutmasters generally tended to feel that you could have as religious an experience out camping on a Sunday morning as you could in church, and I agree thoroughly. At any rate, Helen and I and some others were at a meeting at the Council for Secular Humanism in Amherst, New York, in like 95, I think November of 95, and the question was proposed, what could we do to make humanism more relevant to people in general, apart from the philosophical aspects? And after some discussion, I raised my hand and suggested that we start a summer camp for the children of secular humanists. The idea was discussed with some trepidation, and Helen and I brought it back to the local secular humanist organization in Cincinnati in northern Kentucky, the Free Inquiry Group, and a called FIG, Free Inquiry Group, and the organization decided to take it on as a project. A Camp Quest planning committee was established, and I was the first director, and have been so ever since. And the Free Inquiry Group has continued to run it ever since. We've had inquiries from other groups throughout the country on setting up Camp Quest themselves. We certainly are eager to do that. We're going in January to talk to the Rationalists of East Tennessee at Knoxville about such a project, but we'd love to see Camp Quest all over the country. We feel we're going to very rapidly be overwhelmed with applications.
Mm-hmm.
I will add that none of the staff is paid, not me, not Helen, not anybody. They get here on their own, and we do provide them room and board. They don't have to pay to be here, but they do have to get here, and they're not paid. And by the way, the book Who's Who in Hell you mentioned is just out, published by, who is that, Helen? The Rationalists of New York State or something like that. Warren Smith.
Warren Allen Smith is the person who put it together.
Oh, yes. That's a huge volume.
And of our 22 Camp Quest counselors this last year, 13 were listed in Who's Who in Hell.
If you knew me, I would be in it, too.
Oh, I hope you are. We haven't looked you up. We'll have to do that. You may well be. It's available on Amazon.com. By the way, if any of your listeners wish to buy books and wish to support this effort, if they would do so by going to the Camp Quest website, which is, by the way, www.camp-quest.com, and they can learn all about Camp Quest, see photographs of these beautiful little non-believing children. And also, and more relevant to what we were just discussing, they can click onto Amazon.com and from there order books at the regular prices, and Camp Quest gets a little bit on each one sold. So if they're interested in supporting Camp Quest painlessly, that's certainly a way to do it. We have Who's Who in Hell at a reduced price anyway. The list price is $125, believe it or not. Amazon.com sells it for $100.
Wow.
Quite a bargain.
Speaking of price, I don't know if you want people to wait to get to your website or not, but how much per child, or are there age groups here, or what exactly is the procedure of someone who'd want to get with Camp Quest, from once they get there, and what are the fees, how long do you have to pay in advance, et cetera? What is the process involved there?
Registrar Helen Kagin, take it away.
Our fees are $495. There's a reduction if they get it in ahead of time. And so far, that's really a very good price because it's not a whole lot more. The Y charges us, and it's for 9 days. The website has all the forms. If people, a lot of times people can just get the forms from the website and send it in because it has our address and everything. Other than that, we are updating our forms now for 2001, and we will be sending packets out to all our last year's campers and to anybody who makes an inquiry by phone calls or emails or whatever. We'll send them a whole packet, and everything will be explained, what to bring, where you go, when you have to have the fees in by, and it's all explained once they can get a packet. But as Edwin says, we're sort of almost outgrowing the facility. We have a lovely facility that we rent, and we do all the usual camping things like swimming, horseback riding, nature hikes, biology. A lot of talks of biology, talks about famous freethinkers in the past, because a lot of people are unaware of the people they've learned about in school. The kids don't know that some of those people were actually freethinkers or humanists. Mm-hmm. That's been a very important thing. The kids really enjoy hearing about that. And we have games and talks and firesides and singing and all kinds of stuff. And we've had really, really glowing reports of how much the children have enjoyed it. the ages are 8 to 12, actually 8 to 13 now, with 14 and 15-year-olds as junior counselors in training, CITs, and then 16 and 17-year-olds are junior counselors, and at 18 they can be a full counselor. We had to kind of keep extending the age because we had kids that were turning 12, 13, and then 14, and they wanted to come back, so we kept increasing the age to accommodate them. And the older ones will make wonderful counselors when they get older.
We've had kids literally grow up with Camp Quest. They started in 96.
Some of them have been there every year.
Every year. We just finished our 5th year.
What is the facility like? What type of, I don't know what we're looking for, accommodations are there to the facility?
Air-conditioned cabins.
It's horrible to think about. It's not my idea of camping. There's an Olympic-sized pool we rent from the YMCA, who very graciously rented it. We had a big trouble with the Baptists. We can tell you about that. The first 2 years we rented for Camp Quest, and that has resulted in a law in Kentucky unique to the United States, giving churches an exemption from the Civil Rights Act, and they may now discriminate against groups based on their religious orientation in the renting of their camp facilities that are otherwise generally available to the public. But that's another story we could certainly talk about. At any rate, we are renting from a YMCA camp in Ohio. They have some 600 acres, I believe. They have horseback riding for a slight additional fee. They have high ropes, an Olympic pool, and the cabins that we use are in a little enclave in the regular camp. They're actually an executive compound where business executives come for retreats. And by virtue of that, they are air-conditioned and have private bathrooms and showers, which the other cabins do not have. While we have our program of totally about maybe 60 campers and staff, the YMCA has its own program going on simultaneously with maybe an additional 250 or so campers. And we get along quite harmoniously and just fine, but that's what the accommodations are like.
That's interesting. Well, you mentioned some of the activities. What I wanted to know as well, and is it just who all is involved in this process? Do you hire counselors, or do counselors come in to volunteer?
Counselors, they volunteer.
All volunteer. Every adult there is a volunteer.
Well, let's see. We've got the former executive director of the American Humanist Association, Fred Edwards from New York, who gives talks at every meal on some famous freethinker, holding up a photograph and a little quote about this person, all prepared by my Helen and others of the staff, laminated, people like Mark Twain, Robert Ingersoll, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington,
Charles Darwin.
We have the free thought.
John Lennon.
Right, John Lennon, just on and on. People you wouldn't dream were free thinkers.
Wow.
Katharine Hepburn, Alexander Dumas, on and on and on.
We have a big list.
Walt Whitman, Henry David Thoreau, just goes on and on. William Percy Bysshe Shelley, his wife. We keep it going enough to not repeat ourselves doing three times a day at meals for 9 days. Okay. Then during the week we have various lectures on humanism and on living an ethical life without religion. And
we have an excellent biology teacher who comes up from Florida, flies up from Florida with his friend who has his own plane. He takes the kids for plane rides and teaches them some aviation. And the biology teacher is an absolutely wonderful teacher who gives talks on spiders and how they mate, and he's very funny, and the kids just love him.
And we should note that the pilot...
do crafts, and the pilot, what?
The pilot brings his own plane at his own expense and pays for his own gas just to give these kids this experience. We have a bunch of college students who come in. They're
the ones usually who stay in the cabins with the kids as counselors.
Oh, okay.
The other adult staff stay in another kind of dormitory-type building right near the cabins. and that's where Ed and I stay, and the biology teacher, and
the free thought dog, the mascot. We have an English Mastiff who, by chance, was born on February the 12th, which, of course, you know is the birthday of both Charles Darwin and Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
So he became the free thought dog mascot. His name is Bruno because he was also born 400 years to the month from when Christians burned Giordano Bruno to death for claiming that the earth went around the sun.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how the people who come to work at it without any pay, just for it's truly a labor of love, and the people who come are well-educated, talented, creative people that really give the kids a wonderful experience.
We're having a lady this next year sign up, finally. We've been trying to get her from Canada, who sets up schooling for children in Africa, for Native children in Africa, and she's kind of outstanding guitar player. We have a PhD lady from California who set up a educational program. Tell them about Minga.
Minga, yeah, they set up when in California, when the schools were teaching, had a course teaching about religion, it was felt that they should also teach about non-religion. So Minga and her husband, both PhDs in educational systems, came up with a book they call Different Drummers. It's an absolutely excellent book about people in history and what sort of things they did, is thinking a little bit different than the ordinary person, and it's just full. It's a wonderful book, and it's been accepted for use in California and will be probably more around the country, and we use it. Well, she came to Camp Quest last year and used a lot of the things in that. There's little games and quizzes and cards with picture cards and all kinds of stuff, and that was very popular too.
Right, we need to get over the idea that somehow people who do not believe in religion or the supernatural are somehow second-class citizens, and the slander against people who have that viewpoint is quite intense in America. It's really probably the last true taboo, the last thing you cannot be. Mm-hmm. And in consequence, some of these children have been very abused and emotionally battered. And some of them have actually cried at Camp Quest, saying it was the first time they felt safe, the first time they felt they could discuss the fact they do not believe in God with anyone, because they're teased and sometimes actually attacked at school by believers who show their brotherly love by beating them up. Mm-hmm. And so that's quite a revelation for them. And we send out questionnaires to parents and kids each year, and without exception, this year, as in past years, they've come back overwhelmingly positive. Such comments, the only problem they had is it wasn't long enough, things of that sort. We're very, very pleased with the way it's going.
So you get, well, not only atheists, but of course other individuals of a free-thinking mind.
Well, absolutely, yeah. The children have not obviously made up their minds what they believe at this point, and we do not proselytize.
No, we
want to
do
make
not.
that.
No.
We just provide the atmosphere for discussion they can learn, but it's obviously it's the parents that send the kids, because the parents are free thinkers or secular humanists, and just want their kids to have a chance to be around people who are talking about that and thinking that way and teaching critical thinking and morals, without having to rely on religion, and it just gives them a freedom that they can say whatever they want or ask questions, and they're not going to be put down or criticized for the things they're thinking or asking about.
Okay.
And we've given talks in Camp Quest to somewhat cynical and even hostile people. I recall we gave a talk to a graduate school social work class at a major university, a class in diversity for master level people in social work, and they hated us and they hated the idea of us. And one woman said, well, if I took my little child, my child, would it be okay if he came and brought his Bible? And I said, well, absolutely. You might not like the result when you return, but certainly.
That's funny, and that's funny. That was my next question, actually. What other negative responses have you received?
From our campers, virtually none. We have in the course of 5 years, had to put out about 3 kids with behavioral problems. But apart from that,
and what about from the general public? What kind of
pretty neutral, actually.
From the what?
General public.
Oh, wow.
We've made the front page of the Cincinnati Enquirer, and the responses we've gotten have been primarily favorable. There was one woman who called and left word on my voicemail, wanted to discuss it with me, and I called her back, and she was a fundamentalist. She said she believed every word in the Bible was true, and I said, you really don't? And she said she did, and I asked if she felt she ought to be selling her daughter into slavery and executing people who worked on the Sabbath and killing people who played football by touching the skin of a dead pig, all hidden in the Bible, right along with homosexuality and other Bronze Age crimes. And we talked for about a half an hour, and when we finished, I think she may have thought differently. I know that when we first started with the Baptist church camp, the Baptist kitchen staff were wearing their Jesus is Lord T-shirts, and we were wearing our T-shirts, Camp Quest is Beyond Belief, and I truly think they will never view secular humanists in quite the same way again. They knew we had been demonized by their church. They thought that all ills of the world came from us because we do teach evolution. Indeed, we do. We have some evolutionary biologists, in fact, some of the best in the country, come and talk about how life forms evolved on Earth, an idea that is horribly threatening to religious fundamentalists for some odd reason.
And then we have talks on civil rights and diversity and acceptance of all of everybody and so on.
Oh, and by the way, before we forget this, let's not forget this. Since the early days of Camp Quest, we have had on the campgrounds 2 invisible unicorns. They can't fly, they can't hurt you, they can't leave the campgrounds, they leave no prints, or you can't smell them, taste them, feel them, or touch them. Walk right through them, but they're there, and there is a prize of a godless $100 bill, in other words, one without in God we trust, on it for any camper who can prove that they aren't there. And to date, the prize has gone unclaimed. There have been some campers who made some rather irresponsible arguments, such as that it should be up to Edwin to prove that the invisible unicorns are there. And I say, not so, child. I believe it on faith. I've got a great book that says they're there, and everybody I know believes they're there, and my relatives and my daddy and my granddaddy believe they're there, and don't they give me any trouble, kid. They have this irrational idea that we should prove the invisible unicorns do exist. No, not. And every so often, toward the end of the camp, some camper will say, "Gee, isn't that sort of the way some people try to prove that there's a God?" And I say, "Well, I never thought of that, child."
That's very good. I can see how that could really assist in one's critical thinking.
Think about it. Sure. That's what we try to do is critical thinking. And little problems come up. A child slips and falls, and they are running too fast on a slippery little hill or incline and skin their little knee. And while Helen's daubing it off, as I said, some demon pushed you from behind. How'd this come about? And they finally fuss up that they were running and it was slippery, and that this came about by perfectly natural laws, and they end up laughing.
Wow.
Another time, 2 little girls on a field trip, we went out to a farm to show them where food and things come from. And there was a little kitten up a tree, and they were weeping their little hearts out. And I said, "What's the matter?" And they said, "That little kitten's up in the tree." And they were so worried. And I said, "When was the last time you saw a cat skeleton in a tree?" And when they thought about it, we all went away laughing.
That's great.
We try to deal with everything in a rational way. We take them on canoe trips. We take them on field trips. We, this last year, took them to the United States Air Force Museum at Dayton, Ohio. It was a wonderful experience. They got to climb around in space capsules and famous aircraft.
So there actually are veterans that are atheists, huh?
Oh, indeed there are. I'm a member of an organization called Atheists in Foxholes. One of the claims of the fundamentalists and the religious is there are, quote, no atheists in foxholes. Well, yes, there are too. Yes, there are too. And at the Free Thought Lodge at Lake Hypatia, Alabama, there has been dedicated a memorial to atheists in foxholes with all of the services. And I was at this dedication, and there was a surprisingly large number of men and some women who joined for the group picture to say that they were atheists, and they were also in the military service of the United States. I was in the U.S. Air Force. They come from all branches of the service, and they want to let it be known that this is another lie, that there are no atheists in foxholes.
Interesting. Yeah, I myself am a U.S. Army
there you go.
veteran.
And there are a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I recall when I was in basic training in the Air Force, I refused to participate in a group prayer that was imposed upon us. Mm-hmm. And some of the other recruits attacked me in my bunk in the middle of the night, and I had to fight them off.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's really outrageous. And they do, in fact, encourage it, and this is not the American way.
Well, Helen, I haven't heard you speak too much. I'm curious, are both of you atheists, confessedly explicit atheists? Or?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I like the term has pejorative connotations, but I'm coming more and more to adopt it. It doesn't have to have pejorative connotations. It merely means without a deity. And I'm going to talk to Helen.
No, that's fine, but I think that Madeleine Murray O'Hare gave atheism a bad name. She was such an unpleasant person who remembered her, and she was kind of rough talking, and I think it wasn't a good PR for it. But I mean, all the terms are fine with me. Secular humanist, freethinker, agnostic, whatever. It's not. I don't think we have to be that particular about certain words. Some people get all worked up over it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, ultimately, it's just up to us to explain to these people the definitions and what they mean. And
right.
And like once again, as Ed, you pointed out, there are many of us out there.
Oh, there are far more. Absolutely. It's the last taboo. There are an awful lot of people who really don't believe this. And there are a great many more people who just go to church and mouth the beliefs without really paying any attention. In my latest column that I just emailed you, I quoted from a very famous Christian song that says, "Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus than to trust and obey." In other words, take it on the authority. And people don't really think about what those things mean. Mm-hmm. That's what it means. It means trust and obey. Take the word of the priesthood as to the will of the God. See, I know the religion. I was raised in it. I have something like 12 years of perfect Sunday school attendance. I'm descended from a long, unbroken line of ministers apart from myself. So it's not that I am, that this is foreign or unfamiliar information to me. I know it very well.
Do you do any public speaking at all? Or?
Indeed, yes.
Okay.
Very good at it.
And what subjects do you speak on?
Well, I speak on issues of separation of church and state, or on Camp Quest, or my writings are collected on my website. They can be accessed from the Camp Quest webpage.
Okay.
Or if someone wanted to go directly to it, it's www.edwinkagin, EDWIN, no space, KAGIN.com.
Okay.
And that has a collection of writings that should be published sometime early next year. Actually, by the Atlanta Free Thought Press, I believe.
Oh.
They're planning to do it. You might get in touch with them. Ed Buckner's group down there in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, I myself am a member of the Atlanta Free Thought Society.
We'll say hello to Ed Buckner. I've spoken to the Atlanta Free Thought Society. You must have missed it that time.
Actually, I pulled out a piece of paper here. I pulled out your email here, and it says, okay, you're going to speak to Massimo's group in Tennessee.
Yes, that's correct. I said the Rashes of East Tennessee, right? Mm-hmm. January.
Yeah, and actually, maybe you should, if you guys don't have a real player, maybe you should. I actually interviewed Massimo, I believe that was Tuesday.
Massimo came and spoke at Camp Quest.
Oh, really?
Massimo came and discussed. He came and he drove up from Knoxville. I just try to get people to do that, and he very graciously came up from Knoxville to
That's great. That's wonderfully great. And I also wonder how many states are involved, or I don't know if you have statistics. I'm sure you maybe do, but actually, how many different states are involved in Camp Quest, or how many people do you get from other states that get involved in Camp Quest?
Refer to the registrar.
Oh, well, I mean, as far adults, other than
adults and children, conglomeration.
Oh, the 47 children we had last year, we have over 20 adult counselors. That's including the college students who stay in the cabin. So we have a ratio of about one staff to 2 kids, which is pretty high, much higher than most other camps.
Mm-hmm.
The people that come just, enjoy doing it. They teach the crafts and the singing and all that. And didn't we have about 21 on the staff, Ed, or something?
Yeah, I think 22 actually.
22,
they came from Florida. Where all did they come? They came from as far as California, New York,
California,
and Florida.
Right.
So that kind of triangulates it. New Mexico.
Some of them are local. Some of them, New Mexico, right?
New Mexico.
Some of them have come for several years in a row.
And we're getting one from Canada next year.
Oh, wow.
And possibly from England.
That's great.
We looked for there to be...
we had somebody from the Czech Republic.
Yes, we did, actually. Let's not forget him from the Czech Republic.
You can truly say you're international now, right?
Yeah.
We can indeed. I don't know how many you have to be.
He was a college student who wanted to learn more about it. He ended up being a big help as far as a counselor because he was old enough. And
there's no
he spoke English very well, and he just absolutely loved it. He wants to come back again.
Yeah, that'd be great. I really would like to see this organization thrive. And
you need to tell Buckner to have us come down and give another talk. We could do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to see bus trips. A nice charter bus down here, and people just ride on up there. And you made mention that space is getting a little tight now because you have so many. You guys have grown phenomenally.
Well, let's put it this way. Last year, to accommodate everyone that wanted to come, we had to do something we'd never done before. We set up 2 tents that held about 10 kids each.
We didn't put 10 in there, but we can't. They've given us, the wives given us permission to put tents up, and the kids we put in there, we got their, we spoke to the parents about it, and so at first we didn't just put them in there, but a lot of them loved it. We don't want to turn anybody away, so we're prepared to take, Yeah, but see, the max we can put, we have 5 cabins that have 10 bunks each, and we put 2 counselors in each cabin. And so that leaves 8 bunks times 5 cabins. We can accommodate 40 kids. In the cabins.
If we have more than that, we have to do something else. The staff lodge has 24 bunks, but we tend to use those. Helen takes 4 of them for her gear and equipment and things. And we sometimes run a store down there. We do use the food provided, very excellent food actually, by the YMCA.
We supplement it with our own.
But this story, if you want to,
fruits and vegetables.
Yes, the snack committee goes out and Fig Newtons, the free inquiry. Oh yes, and our biologist did a little lecture on. Tell them about the Fig Newton lecture.
Well, he was passing out Fig Newtons to everybody in camp all week, and then he gave a lecture about how many bug parts were allowed by the Food and Drug or whatever to be put in the mix and in the fig mix and cooked.
That's great.
And it didn't deter the kids too much. They still wanted to eat them. It was a very interesting thing. I had never heard all that before either, but he had it down pat as to exactly what the rules were.
Also, we encourage creative and expressive activity. The first night of camp, usually I provide each cabin with a set of challenges to be worked on during the week and to be reported upon by the cabin at the final campfire. And these are quite good. For example,
excellent. They do like a little skit.
It's just incredible. For example, we told them that we had made contact through a wormhole with a civilization that was evolving on another planet, and they were having discussions on whether or not they should orient the future direction of their culture and civilization toward reason and science or toward faith and authority, and that there were 2 camps arguing vigorously about the efficacy of these 2 approaches, as indeed they are now. You can see it in the presidential election. But the kids were quite ingenious in some of their responses. They really were.
Well, that's great. One Well, Ed and Helen, I don't really have anything else for you today. I really enjoyed this interview. I've learned a lot about CamQuest as well as our listeners.
Well, good.
Is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners before we end?
No, I'd be happy to talk to anybody who has any questions.
Give us a call or give us a mail or whatever.
I think they can write in there. They're in a chat room of some sort, are they not?
And go ahead and give that telephone. Do you have a telephone number?
Sure. Area 859-384-2324.
That's great. Well, thank you once again. This is the Infidel Guy audio show. I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Our pleasure.
For joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you may not know, Dr. Helen Good and Edwin Kagin, unfortunately, both have died. I believe Edwin Kagin died in 2014. And even after this program, he moved on to continue his work and did quite a lot of other things. He founded even a number of other free-thinking organizations and went to bat for so many other organizations fighting for the separation of church and state. And just an amazing warrior and a powerhouse that I really appreciate. Just the battle for independence, autonomy, and critical thinking is still ongoing. And in fact, my producer, who is also my son, who has been trying to remaster this audio, he said one thing that really surprised him, unfortunately, was that we're still going through the same things today, still battling this separation, right, or battling for the separation of church and state. And you still have the powers that be who wish to make this a theocracy and attack intellectualism, and they want to attack science, and they want to attack experts. It's just unrelenting, and it's sad that we are still experiencing this even today. I know I fought for a long time, and there are those who fought much longer than I have. And as we seem to have made some progress, we have a presidency times 2 that is hell-bent on destroying progress. Well, anyway, I will next week, the program that we're going to upload is going to feature Jerry Ryder, and he is the author of The Gates of Hell. I think you will enjoy that. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening.